Okay, cool. So we're back from a very brief break. So in case those of you that are watching or listening, in case we didn't mention it before, we're actually recording this podcast episode in a licensed cannabis facility here. And so one of the benefits of that is we actually get to take a look at some of the products that we've been talking about up until now. Can you just kind of
Yeah, so this is kind of bulk products. So
okay.
an individual customer who gets a gram from the dispensary or gets shown one would never encounter anything like this. So it's important to know in your products and your consistencies what makes this individual gram, what it looks like in its bulk form. And so we want to make this process transparent when we get going with the customer. We want to show the plant as it's growing. We want to show the material and have it tested ourselves and understand the terpene profiles of the material used for this. We're not afraid to show you trim and show you nug. It's all the same stuff to us. If you're shopping for only nug run, you can go through our catalog and choose them wisely. But to us, cannabis is cannabis, trichome is trichome, the resin in it is just as good. So this is what our products look like in bulk. And so here are the outcomes of our extraction, more or less. And so to show you the uniqueness of the extraction, this is the wax in the extra THCA that we take out of our product, and this is what we leave behind. Now, this is only a portion of it. I probably have a jar like this of the liquid terpenes, and then the extra THCA, but this has all of the waxes that would polymerize and lock all this together removed, and they're all in this product right here. Now, we have to say, well, this is the non-winterized. Well, this product is like rosin or hash in its flavor and consistency and in its profile. So it's not like this is the undesirable from this.
Gotcha.
But that's the conversation. But this product is just a lesser in cost for the customer product because it's not as refined as this. People absolutely love this product because it's cannabinoid ratio. So whenever we do the extraction, this cannabinoid ratio is at a specific amount, and it collects more of the heavier cannabinoid molecules, and it's a more deep, dead set high. It's too much for me. So it'd be like indica, sativa, if you want to go that way, right?
Yeah, right.
This product is for the daytime, the luxury use, the flavor use, especially the liquids. And I like, and then the sugars for a little bit more potency when you do it. But because most of it's THCA, the liquid is THCA and terpenes, it's at that right balance where you can just get all of the flavor. And when we have products in bulk like this improves with age. So it's naturally gassing off. So
I heard it.
Yeah, it's going to gas off. Yeah, there you go. So there, we took them out of the heat. So there's a little bit. So it will naturally gas off over time, and the flavonoids will separate, and they'll be a little bit heavier. And so don't tip them over yet, because I think I got them all cracked. But as they keep them in there longer, the heavier molecules in suspension will naturally fall down.
Right.
And you can have this vintage product even with flavonoids that is the most wonderful product I've ever tasted, and you can't step away from it, which would be you leave this sitting here for 6 months and you pour off most of it, and what is down here you dab, and it's the 100x flavor, just all the flavor and everything.
Wow.
So these different fractions have to be scientifically analyzed, and they're with $1 million machines that I can't get access to banking for. So but knowing they exist is enough for us. And then going through the different versions of the extractions, again, all these are cured resin. And so this is the wax that was taken out of these. And so that is a whole product lineup for all different types, whether you want value and more potency, or you want more flavor, and a
Gotcha.
little bit lighter. And so kind of that conversation, we'll place indica, sativa in our lineup.
Yeah, that's reassuring because the indica sativa thing drives me crazy because it's largely devoid of meaning.
And so now we were talking about the spectral fingerprint of these products that don't have the wax. Oops, sorry. So the wax, let's see if I can get them closer to me. Wax is taken out. And so you can see the light in up here is from your angle is what you're looking at. If you held a paper, you would see a ring of a specific color, and that's what you're talking about kind of the spectral fingerprint. Mm-hmm. So how the distance that the light passes through and then the spectrum that it is would create a quality of extracts. And so in this cluster is one product that didn't winterize as well as we would have liked. So we can see, but these are darker products. But they still have that glow, and these are all different batches and different extractions. You can still see that one glow. Mm-hmm. Then this one didn't winterize as effectively as we would have liked it to.
Just absorbing
and so all those molecules that we wanted to push into here for this batch, we kind of failed. And so in that context, we obviously optimize processes to never let that happen.
Yeah.
But it would go into a different product lineup. So we create different product classes where all our successes meet certain grades, and then our in-betweens, it didn't work because of whatever reason, but it's still in a better quality class, goes in the middle, and then products that have the wax diffraction that are more natural, sedative products are in the accessible price range.
Yeah, that's super interesting. And then within each of these classes, you can have such a spectra of, to an extent, of chemistry with those two to tease out different effects or different options for people that prefer a product class, but then are looking for some variability within that product class.
So the complexity we would want to do is these are your full spectrum natural preparations, and then we could add cannabinoids based on the user to these natural flavor preparations. And so if we could create a device that would in one vial have this, and then in other vials have CBD, CBC, THCV, and then you could program, in the morning I want the haze flavor, but I want CBC and CBD.
You can make your own mix.
And then later in the afternoon, I want to put the THC in and get to the perps. So, that we can do in combination, but we can still have isolations and complexity together, and the user can kind of determine what way they want to go. So we want to make it as user friendly as possible.
And are these products going to be, I think you mentioned before, but I just want to clarify, are they going to be vape pen friendly?
Yes, all of our products since our inception have really driven towards the liquidity of the product. We feel that in the trichome, it's liquid. And so that's how the resin wants to set itself up. And so when we run these extractions, we want to see the liquid result at the end, and we want it to be balanced. So it doesn't, see, people say myrcene is toxic at a certain temperature. Well, no, this is a complex preparation.
Right.
It's in balance.
Yeah.
And so when you're putting it in there, the myrcene in there is in this concert of molecules.
Exactly,
and it's and we want it to taste well and to have an appropriate effect. So we're not going to overdrive the terpenes here.
Right.
We're going to keep them at a level that the natural extract wants to have.
Yeah.
And so with THCA, it works well because it will stay in suspension at a certain level, which I wouldn't know because the lab that tests for it. Well, I know where it is in SC labs.
Yeah.
But if I give it to another lab, I'll give it to another lab and they'll say it's 33% THCA. SC labs will say it's 56% THCA.
Right.
Both of them will have 20, and then I will say 25% terpenes, and they'll just be 25% unknown.
Right.
And that's because the chemistry with the CO2 They had to do a whole new SOP.
Right, you got to validate for a unique. There may be a compound that is essentially THCA, but maybe has some slight ornamentation to it or something that will eventually break off or whatever. But they can't technically call that THCA.
I don't know where the problem. So I want to know what the other components are. So I can say how many terpenes and how many cannabinoids are in here. That's interesting. But how much is of the remainder?
Yeah.
Truly.
Right.
And no lab can tell me that. Only I can buy a $560,000
Yeah.
machine
Yep.
and pass these products through and say, there are my terpenes, there are my cannabinoids, and then the minus is the rest.
Yeah, the great mystery. Yeah, well, just give me about $5 million. I'll take
Yeah,
care of that
right,
for
well-
you. I mean, just get $500,000 for an LC triple quad, and
That's the experience you had with the licensing.
Right.
If they were professionals and asked for your advice and solicited all the angles that you knew was the appropriate way to test for cannabis, you would still be in that industry and you would be flourishing and we would be the better for it. But
Well, yeah, I mean, it's something that when I was working in labs, I mean, my whole angle that I always was interested in was research, and unfortunately, the way that things are structured, investigative research is really not incentivized, and it's for a number of reasons. But exactly, yeah, and it's one reason why I'm working with some university labs now and helping them understand cannabis and kind of go through that initial learning curve, because that's always been my interest. Because there are labs all over the place that are commercial labs that will characterize stuff, but there's a lot of method development that needs to be done to get producers and consumers the information they need, and it's just going to take a long time to get to where I'd like to see it, but
that's we want to validate this stuff. I want to give this to the next person you talk to and see. We have a lemon remedy is one.
Yeah,
it's a
familiar with
3-to-1. It has a limonene, but it has some of the OG in it. He bred it really carefully. I mean, people who have epilepsy swear by lemon remedy in particular and the extracts that we produce. Also, we have, I don't know how to say the cancer of the sinuses or whatever, but somebody who used that as a vape cart, and it cured their morning illnesses and their pain and everything with it. So if I could give them liters of that's bioavailable and ready to go, and I could say, do whatever you want, capsule, vapor pen, topical, but you have like a 5-gallon bucket, and then you only need 300 to 500 for each one. So, that's the level we want to get to, is to provide. But we got to go through our understanding of what makes this now medicine, because it's not a single molecule.
That's
so why is now what's the meaning of this? And it's in a spectral fingerprint, and it's in the molecular characterization. But then you first have to understand it. So I had to run all 50 of these things through to ask the questions first.
Right.
I don't even understand what question to ask until I see.
That's a wonderful point. Is where we're at is trying to understand what questions do we need to be asking so that we understand what systems to develop to start to generate information to try to get at answers.